How's it going, dudes? Welcome back to the worst board game of all time, Community Tournament. We've just finished up the second round, so now it's time to see which 16 games have survived and advanced, and which 16 will be headed home in shame. A reminder that we're not just playing for pride here, as over 600 brackets were submitted to try to predict the results of the tournament, with the first place winner taking home this 1973 vintage version of Pit. After the opening round, we had 0 perfect brackets remaining, most likely the work of these guys. But what we did have was one lone person standing tall above the rest of the field, with Bye and the Bunny holding the lead with 280 points. But will they be able to hold on to their lead? That's what we're here to find out with the official declaration of the second round results. I'm joined virtually once again by my color commentator, Joshua Jacobs. Pleasure to be back, Cam. I'm ready to jump right into it. Well, if you're ready, then so am I. Let's head over to the big bracket and take a look at the teams that will be making it to the next round. We'll start off in the Ston Region, where we find our first matchup of the third round, War, going up against the Campaign for North Africa, the Desert War, 1940-43. These two classic war games each faced fierce competition in the second round, but managed to fight their way through and make it to the terrible third. War, being the number 1 seed in the region, should inspire some confidence in its ability to perform, and has for some, with 14 different people predicting it to be the champion of the tournament. However, based on the numbers, it is actually the Campaign for North Africa that has inspired the most faith from the people, with 89 different brackets predicting North Africa to be the last game standing. This difference is completely unprecedented and is leading us to believe that the number 12 seed might actually be favored to beat the number 1. Those numbers are completely unbelievable. The fact that this 12 seed has rallied almost a sixth of the total bracket pool behind it is insane. Honestly, if I was War, I'd be offended that this little of the crowd believed I have what it takes. War needs to use this as motivation for the match, as it is about to face an absolute monster in this third round. We did see North Africa struggle a little bit against Doggy Doo, so it's not invincible. But just because it's possible to beat something doesn't mean you'll actually be able to pull it off. Our other match from this region will see Public Assistance taking on 15 Love. A massive upset from our bottom match sees our second double-digit seed from this region moving on. 15 Love, a true surprise from the success it's found, with only 3 brackets in total predicting the tennis title to go all the way. It will have to overcome the odds again to continue though, as it will be facing one of the most consistent games in the tournament in Public Assistance. PA has cruised through its first 2 matchups with little struggle, posting massive margins of victory on its way to the third round. It will be looking to continue its dominant streak in order to get a shot at the quarterfinals and continue the hopes of the 32 brackets that had it winning it all. In my opinion, 15 Love is the true Cinderella of this region. We all had our eyes on North Africa from the start, but very few were expecting 15 Love to make it this far, so it's a true surprise. Does it have a chance? No. Public Assistance hasn't scored less than 80 at any point during this tournament, and there is nothing to show that they're about to slow down here. I'm predicting another blowout, but at the same time, 15 Love was predicted to lose in both of its last 2 matches. If it managed to overcome the odds twice before, who am I to say that it can't do it again? Those are the 4 teams advancing from this region. Let's give it over to Josh to learn which games he wants to see move on from here. I'll give you a quarterfinal matchup that would be sure to impress. I want to see the Campaign for North Africa go up against Public Assistance. Both games you've covered before, Cam, so you should know just how tough of a choice this would be for the voters. Both fan-favorite titles, both seeing immense support behind them, both carrying wildly different reasons for making it this far. This would be an all-time classic matchup that I would not want to miss out on. At the same time, everyone loves a good Cinderella battle, and if 15 Love can overcome this opponent, there really is nothing it can't do. Some great matchups ahead of us, but before we get there, we need to see the other 12 games that will be competing in this round. We'll meet the winners of the Ston Region when we come back. Welcome back. We'll continue to meet our round 2 winners by heading now over to the Ston Region. Our first match here will see a clash between Oy Vey and the Rock, Paper, Scissors game. Each of these games is coming off an upset, with RPS smashing through chutes and ladders and Oy Vey knocking out our first number 1 seed of the tournament with one-upmanship. This leaves us with a stellar matchup between two games carrying a lot on their backs, as Oy Vey was chosen to win in 10 different brackets, while RPS is representing 43 players as their champion. A really good matchup here, Cam. RPS's uselessness gives it an edge that not a lot of games can take advantage of, but whether that can make it past a game with such bad theming that it overcomes one-upmanship, we'll have to wait and see. Both of these titles have a great chance of making it out of here, but at the end of the day, it's just gonna come down to who wants it more. Let's head now to our other match from the region, where the Vanilla Ice electronic rap game will be enduring capital punishment. These two double-digit seeds won by similar margins, with the difference being Vanilla Ice pulling off a major upset for the opportunity to advance. Both games are trying to keep their Cinderella stories alive for the people who believed in them, with 12 people predicting capital punishment to win it all and 7 instead choosing the Iceman as their champion. First off, I want to give a shout out to Bean Boozled. It pulled off an incredible win in the first round and really put up a good fight here in the second. But for our 2 games here, I don't know. Every ounce of my being says there's no way capital punishment stops here. It's coming off 2 great wins and has a lot on its side. At the same time, it's the Vanilla Ice electronic rap game. This thing is a total anomaly. I find myself being confused as to how it's still even here, and at the same time, I can reasonably imagine it somehow being the one to make it out of the region. This thing is a complete and total wildcard, and if you let up for even a second against the Thrilla of Vanilla, you might just end up heading home. A great lineup of games for the Stank region. Josh, who are you hoping to see make it out of this round? If I'm being honest, I want to see a battle between Rock, Paper, Scissors and Vanilla Ice. A completely pointless version of a classic versus a horrifying rap tie-in from the 90s. Oh man, that is an absolute dream! But at the same time, a controversy battle between Capital Punishment and Oy Vey would make for some pretty entertaining stuff. We really can't go wrong with this region. No matter who moves on, there's sure to be a great match waiting for us after. And with that, we've covered half the teams that will be moving on to the third round. But we've still got 8 more games that will be gunning for that championship title. We unveil our winners from the Stunk region when we come back. This NBGA broadcast is brought to you from the loving patrons over at the deli. Our supplier, Flage, our staff, Max Leon Thomas, Floris Leffler, and Benny Rush, our chef, Matthew Connorth, and our investors, Ice92355 and Campbell Graves. Truly the greatest ride ever. The NBGA would also like to thank Cam Crim Productions and viewers like you. Thank you. Welcome back. It's time to look at the remaining 8 games that will be advancing to the third round, starting with the Stunk region. Our first matchup here will see What Do You Meme taking on Speak Out. Another bevy of upsets sees not only another number 12 seed advancing, but our second number 1 seed elimination with WWB. Both of these titles seemed relatively unassuming heading into the tournament, but have proven through big wins that they deserve to be feared. Both games have a decent following supporting them, with Speak Out being the champion in 15 brackets and What Do You Meme being chosen in 36 different ones. I'm predicting at least 15 angry people after this match. Speak Out has fought and clawed its way up to this point. Meanwhile, the meme machine has been busy grinding other games into dust. None of its matchups have been close, and those weren't nobodies either. That was a number 1 seed and the game of life. Those are tough matchups against any other opponent, and What Do You Meme destroyed them. I want to root for Speak Out here. Everybody loves an underdog, but this match better have police on the scene because there's gonna be another murder. Our other match from this region will see a battle between Candyland and the Ungame. One of our few sections with no upsets, both high seeds took their wins handily and now face each other in the third round like they are supposed to. However, support for the titles is lopsided the other way, with 23 brackets predicting Candyland to win it all, while only 9 had the Ungame doing the same. This is a good one. Both of these games have put together good runs, but I've seen some discourse on whether the Ungame deserves to move on or not. Candyland is obviously a tough opponent, but it struggled a little more in the last round than I expected it to. Keep an eye on this one for sure because it could be anyone's game. With the Ston Region revealed, Josh will run us through the matchup he would like to see in the future. I am loving the opportunity to see What Do You Meme go up against Candyland next round. A consistent theme from these games and their matchups has been a ton of hate for the fact that they even exist. If these two heavy hitters clash, emotions are going to run hot during that battle, and that is going to result in some very entertaining discourse for sure. You aren't gonna want to miss this. And that leaves only one region remaining to be covered. We'll meet the last 4 teams moving on when we look at the Ston Region when we come back. Welcome back. It's time to meet the remaining 4 games making the 3rd round as we go over to the Ston Region. Our first battle here will feature the matchup of Adultery versus Miss Monopoly. These 2 games each plowed through their competition, with Miss Monopoly taking a convincing win over a tough opponent in Mr. Bacon, and Adultery atomizing its second opponent in a row with Macon Bacon. Both titles have a lot of people's hopes riding on them, as 35 people picked Miss Monopoly as their champion, and 61 people predicted Adultery to take home the crown. An all-time classic here. You could tell me that this was the championship match right now and I would believe you. Some absolutely killer negatives are carrying both these titles, but honestly, this could be a lopsided finish. Not a single game has come within 75 points of Adultery so far, and that's for a good reason. However, people have started talking, and there are rumors swirling that it's only putting up these big points because it's gone up against some Mickey Mouse matchups. So this is going to be the first real trial that Adultery will have to overcome. Does Miss Monopoly have what it takes to knock off a #1 seed? We're just gonna have to wait and see. The winner of that match will be facing the victor of our final matchup, Group Therapy versus What Shall I Be, the exciting game of Career Girls. Each of these games moved on to the 3rd round convincingly, finding little trouble in taking their second tournament wins. We have some real sleeper teams here, as not many brackets had these teams as their champ, with 11 selections for What Shall I Be, and only 3 total people believing in Group Therapy. I know it's tempting to think What Shall I Be will walk away with an easy win here, but Group Therapy made it here for a reason. Underestimating your opponents has cost several games their spots in the tournament, and if What Shall I Be does the same here just because of the low support numbers, it might end up being Group Therapy's next victim. These Career Girls have put a strong campaign together. They are looking really bad out there. Keep doing what you're doing, and the spot in the quarterfinals could be yours. With the remaining games now revealed, let's look at who Josh is looking to see advance to the quarterfinal round. Look at this region, Cam, it's unbelievable! Any matchups that advance have a chance to be wildly entertaining. Adultery versus the Career Girls, Adultery versus Group Therapy, Group Therapy versus Miss Monopoly, Miss Monopoly versus the Career Girls. We're drowning in storylines out here. One of my favorite regions by far. I cannot wait to see which titles are going to be advancing after this round. Keep your eyes on this corner for sure. And that will round out all of the teams that will be competing in the 3rd round. Before we go, I'll take us through some of our more surprising exits from the 2nd round. Of course, we'll have to start off with the elimination of 2 of our #1 seeds, those being WWB and One-Upmanship. Both of these games were anticipated to do really well here, but some very tough matchups for both titles see them exiting in just the 2nd round. Alongside them, we see 2 #2 seeds eliminated here as well, with Time Control and the Oregon Trail card game both being sent home. The Oregon Trail got hit hard by an unfavorable matchup against the Career Girls, but we were very surprised that Time Control also got taken out in its favored match against 15 Love. All in all, we're now left with less top seeds still in the tournament than out of it, and this has been felt by our bracket holders, as just these 4 losses have left 75 brackets without a champion. But for those whose champ is still in, let's see which games are the most favored by the public to go all the way. Among the remaining games, the Rock, Paper, Scissors game is the 3rd most picked, championing 43 brackets. Adultery takes 2nd, winning it all in 61 different brackets, and our most popular game picked to win it all is the Campaign for North Africa, representing a massive 89 bracket champions. With the third round starting, we'll see if one of these titles can live up to the hype, or if one of our sleeper teams can sneak in and bring it home for their respective faithful. These teams are the real deal, each having won 2 matchups in order to get where they are now. But now it's time to see who has what it takes to lay claim to their spot in the quarterfinal and whose tournament is ending here. The third round's polls are starting soon, so check how your brackets are doing and get ready to vote for your least favorite titles. Let us know below which matchup results surprised you, and who do you think is poised for a deep run or shouldn't have even made it here. Get ready for the third round as we get one step closer to finding the worst board game of all time. Signing off for the NBGA, I am Cam Sandwich. Thank you for watching and have a fantastic day.